Hello there. This is an astrological forecast for Virgo for October of 2012. And this also applies if you have a Virgo ascendant. So my Virgos, you're going to be very pleased to hear that Saturn, the great teacher, on October the 5th moved out of your second house of finance and into your third house of learning and studying. So what does this mean? Well, many of you for the last 2 and a bit years have had some financial restrictions. Have had a lot of lessons to learn with finances. Some of you had a lot of difficulties with finances. Hopefully you've learned whatever lessons that Saturn has been trying to teach you, because Saturn is just the teacher, and it takes away from us things in our life that are usually no good for us, that aren't doing us any good, and allows us to replace them with things that really are good for us. And we might not think that they're so good for us at the time. We might really be mourning the things that we may have lost, maybe a house or some kind of security that you felt you had, or a business. But in fact, sometimes it makes the way for something completely new to come in. Anyway, it's out of your house of finances. So that really should ease up some of the strain that many of you have been having financially. And it's moving into your third house. This, Virgos, is a wonderful time for anything connected with study, for learning, for studying, and also for taking a very long-term course of study, a serious course of study. This would be a good time to start it or to think about it. It's also going to be a time when you restructure your beliefs, your thinking. Maybe you've had beliefs that really aren't attracting to you the things that you want in your life. Maybe you've got a belief that money doesn't grow on trees, and maybe you've got a belief that you're not attractive enough to have the kind of partner that you'd like to have. And maybe some of these belief systems are really off and they're not true anymore. This is a wonderful time for working with your beliefs, your attitudes, how you think. Your thinking patterns can really change during this transit. And in fact, people who knew you before the transit may not recognize you in a couple of years' time when this transit has been with you for a while and you've been working on it. So we've got Venus, my dear Virgos, for much of the month in your first house. How lovely is that? It means you're going to attract nice people to you this month. It means that you can make peace with people. Maybe somebody you've fallen out with, or there's been a bit of an atmosphere. Wonderful time for making peace. You may find yourself being a mediator and helping others make peace. It's also a time really, and this is difficult for you Virgos, to put pleasure over work, just for some of the time this month. Good time if you can to take a trip and get a few days away, just for a different perspective away from work. We've got then Venus moving into your second house towards the end of the month, and this is going to bring you some financial opportunities. Good time for financial negotiations, good time for finding a bargain. Not a good time for spending a lot of money, and there will be a tendency with Venus to maybe want something nice for yourself just for a change. And I would suggest just be cautious, make sure you've got enough funds and you can easily afford it. But certainly should bring you in some nice financial opportunities during this time, particularly towards the very end of the month. First week of the month, we've got Mars in your third house. This is going to be a time, possibly you might have some disagreements with the people around you, but what it is good for is it's wonderful for selling anything. So anything that you want to sell, you're going to feel more assertive, more forceful about it, more passionate about it, and you're probably going to be more successful at selling it. So that's very good for you, particularly the first week of this month. After that, we've got Mars going into your fourth house. So there could be some issues with the family, maybe a bit of domestic strife, some arguments in the home because you want things the way you want them and they're not going to compromise with you. And you may just need to find some way of compromising. You're certainly going to be busy in the home. You might find yourself cleaning a lot. I know Virgos, many of you like it very nice and clean. Well, with Mars in that fourth house, you might well be cleaning up or sorting out or organising your files and organising systems. Very good time to do it because you get a lot done with Mars in that fourth house, particularly the last couple of weeks of the month. We've got Jupiter as well opposite this Mars in your 10th house. So there really should be some new opportunities for you in your work. Many of you may find that you go overseas for your work. There may be an opportunity to go overseas, or at least to make a long distance move for your work, or to expand into a different area completely. Something you've never worked in before, you may find yourself working in that area or being offered an opportunity to take a risk and try something quite different to that which you've done before. Against that backdrop, we've got Pluto square to Uranus from your 5th to your 8th houses. So this indicates to me that you would be wise to be very careful with your finances. Some of you may be feeling a little overconfident with your finances, especially those of you who are speculative, because there's a possibility with this aspect to win big, but much more likely that you could lose big just in a heartbeat. So be very careful with finances, also with joint finances. You may think that everything is just fine, and then all of a sudden something shifts and things are not quite fine. So make sure you've protected yourself. Make sure you've got safeguards in place, just in case something suddenly comes up. We do live in very uncertain times, and Virgos, you do like to be prepared. So do make sure you've got some food and some water and some supplies stored up in case there is a sudden emergency or a sudden change, and then you can relax and know that you're prepared for it and you'll be able to last it out. So there you have it, my dear Virgos. Make the most of that Venus in your 1st house of attracting some lovely people to you, and also the possibility of attracting a lover or somebody who's interested in you romantically this month as well. So I wish you a great month. Thank you to those of you who comment, who subscribe, who sign up for my free newsletter, who come for readings, whatever it is. I'm always delighted to hear from you. Thank you for listening. Bye for now.